Coming up today, stocks rally higher across the board. Bitcoin almost hits 100,000. Gary Gensler to step down from the SEC. The market's reaction to Nvidia's earnings. Russia fires back. What I think just happened to MicroStrategy stock. And my new swing trading alert service is now open. It's a massive day, guys. Let's go. Wow, I've got to say, this market is on fire. We are getting huge moves everywhere. Out there across markets today, I have a lot of hot charts to share with you guys, including what I think just happened to Bitcoin and MicroStrategy stock. Got this massive bearish engulfing candle today. But just quickly before I get into all that, I'm excited to announce my new swing trading alert service is now open. And so I just created a brand new trading account. I've deposited $30,000 into it. And each night I'll be sending out my swing alerts to members and I'll be trading them in this account the next day. And this is a real money trading account. This is not a paper trading account. These are real trades on the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, swing trading liquid large cap stocks and ETFs, and a very similar structure to how I run my stock pick service, which I started back in June with a brand new trading account. Not quite 6 months in, it's already up 27%, almost tripling the market's return. And that's with no leverage either, and my portfolio is not full of high beta stocks. In fact, most of this time my portfolio beta was actually under 1. And so that's what we call in the business alpha generation. Your portfolio's return after adjusting for beta. And so if you're interested in learning more about my new swing alert service, then head on over to my website, clickcapital.io, or click the link below this video, navigate to the new swing alerts page, and you can learn all the details about this new service of mine, along with taking advantage of the launch week special. Use coupon code SWING33 to get a permanent 33% discount. There's both a monthly and a yearly plan, and I've got a hard limit set to only allow 300 members to ensure everyone gets a quality service. So at some point this will be close to new subscribers, but to everyone who joins, you'll get my swing trading alerts in your inbox 9:30 p.m. New York time, Sunday to Thursday, the night before I'm going to trade them the next day in my account. You can learn all about this strategy in the private members area, and this service is 100% transparency. Inside are screenshots from all my trade fields from my trading account, along with a monthly portfolio performance report sent to you, so you know exactly how my account is tracking. And if you're also interested in getting my stock pick service together, then head on over to the packages page, and you can use the same coupon code SWING33, and you can get both my stock picks and swing alerts. And for anybody else that's interested, all my custom trading view indicators that you see me use in these videos every day as well. And my goal for both my swing alerts and my stock pick service is to turn each account into $1 million in under 10 years, while sharing with my members all the ups and downs we're bound to encounter along the way. So if you're interested in jumping on board, then head on over to clickcapital.io or click the link below this video and take advantage of this special offer while you can. And like I said, I'll be sending out my first swing alerts this Sunday night to start trading next week, and I'm super excited to dive in and start trading this new account and sharing everything with you guys all along the way. Okay, just diving back into the daily market review, just look at that candle on MicroStrategy today. Massive gap up, finished down hard, over 16% on monster volume, almost 100 million shares traded today. Actually greater value traded in MicroStrategy than S&P 500 ETF SPY, just to give you an idea of how much volume is going on here. And so what it looks to my eye is some fund, possibly multiple funds, have just put it on the mother of all pair trade. Because there's Bitcoin actually finishing higher for the day, almost reaching $100,000 a coin, actually just going down to a 5-minute chart. We got up to 99,121 before turning back a bit. So like we've been saying for a while, 100,000 a coin seems inevitable, most likely going to happen either later today or tomorrow. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when it hits $100,000 a coin. Will we get a massive dump? Will some whales offload large parts of their wallets and convert their Bitcoin into fiat currency? MicroStrategy now has 331,000 Bitcoins. That's over 1.5% of all the outstanding 21 million coins. And that's Michael Saylor's strategy, is to try and corner the Bitcoin market by constantly issuing convertible bonds at 0% coupon and then play on that money into Bitcoin, while spending all his time going around media hyping it up. So what happens if he can keep pulling off this trick in the market and he gets to 2% of Bitcoin, 5% of Bitcoin, 10% of Bitcoin? Or what happens if Bitcoin has a big correction or bear market and it goes below MicroStrategy's average cost per coin now above 50,000? But like I pointed out to you guys before, this is not Michael Saylor's first pump. He was previously the man behind one of the biggest ones in the late 90s tech bubble. When he was charged by the SEC for cooking the books, his stock crashed 99% after reaching those highs. And believe it or not, they just took out these highs a week ago. And so in my opinion, and I know there's a few Michael Saylors out there watching these videos, and that's okay, we don't have to agree on everything. I'm just sharing with you my opinion. I think it's destined to crash again. And of course it could go higher, and maybe for another year or so. No one knows exactly when it's going to happen. But somehow, some way, I'm quite confident that it will. And I don't think he's found the infinite money glitch in the matrix. And so like I said, to those MicroStrategy and Saylor fans out there, that's great if you're making money. However, don't say I didn't warn you when it inevitably does crash, in my opinion. Otherwise, kudos to those that have rode it up. If you can get away with a profit, it was no doubt an amazing trade. But at this point in time, the stars have just aligned perfectly for Saylor and MicroStrategy and their Bitcoin Bitcoin pump with a new US government closely embracing it, not just to win votes, but many of the new admin members are actually Bitcoin holders themselves. And one pro-crypto US Senator, Cynthia Lummis, is intensifying her efforts to advance the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act, a proposal introduced by President-elect Donald Trump during the National Bitcoin Conference earlier this year. She's advocating for a 20-year Bitcoin reserve and is actually proposing the US should sell some of their gold as a way to fund their Bitcoin purchase, which is huge if true. And one by one, the 47th president is stacking his admin full of crypto bulls, with his own companies investing directly in the industry as well. Not to mention the new incoming Vice President, JD Vance, a direct holder of Bitcoin, and the new Secretary of Commerce, also a pro-crypto bull. But just stepping back for a minute, it's interesting to see what Bitcoin's become compared to what Satoshi visualized from his 2009 paper, a decentralized currency. I'd say now it's one of the most centralized things that Wall Street, and especially the US government, has wrapped their arms around it. Hundreds of billions of dollars in Bitcoin with Wall Street banks as the custodian kind of defeats the whole purpose of it being encrypted currency, and it's not being used to transact, but rather just to pile on. And look at this chart here, you can just see how concentrated it is. Down here in the dark orange is how many Bitcoin is in wallets that have above $10 million. In the purple, above $1 million, the light pink, above 100,000, then all the small hodlers. And you can see that big difference over the past 7 years. It's really concentrated, and looking at some other stats, over 90% of Bitcoin is owned by less than 2% of all wallets out there. And so I got no problem with people making money on Bitcoin. I do have some myself, and I have made money off it. I actually made more money off Dogecoin back when Elon first started getting into it a few years ago, going into his Saturday Night Live appearance, in which it rocketed up. So I've got no problem with that as a trade and riding the trends. However, just speaking of the fundamentals, besides blockchain technology, just looking at Bitcoin and what it is, in my eyes, I agree with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. It's the greatest pyramid scheme of our lifetimes and the biggest pump we'll ever see. And there's just no telling how high it could get before what I think will be an inevitable crash in Bitcoin as well. Just like 400 years ago in Amsterdam with the tulip bubble, I think this is a digital tulip bubble, and it's going so much further than tulips because it's just that, digital. Anyone, anywhere in the world can pile on with the click of a button from their mobile phone. And I agree with this post today from Jim Bianco, with Michael Saylor saying Bitcoin's potential is 13 million by 2045. That would put Bitcoin's market cap at around 250 trillion versus 2 trillion today. Put that into perspective, the world's GDP is currently 105 trillion, stock market's 125 trillion. So in 20 years, Saylor thinks Bitcoin will be worth more than all human production and private property combined. And like I said, if that does happen and Michael Saylor becomes the richest man in the world, guy with a track record of fraud, pumps, tax evasion, boasting of avoiding tax, hates the system, doesn't want to contribute anything to society, just wants to corner a market, is that the world we're going to be living in when that person becomes the richest man? And what does that do to all other financial markets if there's just this big global pile on and pump into an asset that has no productive use, no industrial use, isn't used to transact, has no yield, but simply you buy it because you think someone else is going to buy it after you, and therefore it'll keep going higher. And so we just heard from Saylor today, in which they completed a $3 billion offering of convertible notes at 0%, 55% premium, which is crazy to see the demand even from bond investors, probably institutions just investing other people's money. Happy to have a strike price at a 55% premium. So MicroStrategy closed at $397 today, meaning owners of these convertible bonds will only make money if MicroStrategy goes above $672 by 2029. So if MicroStrategy is not above $672, they'll only get their principal back, assuming MicroStrategy is still around. Bondholders will still have to wear credit risk, and they get 0% coupon. So even if MicroStrategy can make good on their bond repayment in 2029, if the stock's not above 672, bondholders would have made nothing, and they would have actually lost to inflation, purchasing power. And so $672 would imply a market cap above 150 billion or so, which is crazy considering their current Bitcoin holdings are only worth about 32 billion. So in other words, the market, both equity holders and bondholders, are getting super excited here, or at least until yesterday, that MicroStrategy's infinite money glitch can continue working, which, like I said, it very well could. Pretty sure Saylor will do this until he completely corner the Bitcoin market and he wants the rest of the world to pile in on top of him. So he can be a trillionaire, even though he hasn't created any value in anyone's lives with an innovative product or service, just promoting the world's biggest pyramid scheme that we've ever seen. But like I said, I've got no problem with making money on the way up. I'm just sure at some point this is all going to come crumbling down, especially for MicroStrategy and essentially their levered bet on Bitcoin. Because like I said, I just can't see him pulling off one of the biggest pumps in the 90s, it completely crashing, and then he does it again, and then the stock just somehow stays up in the clouds forever. It's just simply an unsustainable rate, and that's because it's an unsustainable formula, in my opinion. But either way, certainly interesting and entertaining to watch, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out over the coming months and years. And no doubt others are going to join in on this formula as well. Bitcoin miner China. Marathon Digital raising $1 billion to purchase more Bitcoin. Can you imagine if we got this sort of news out from Microsoft or let's say Berkshire Hathaway? Warren Buffett issues $100 billion in convertible bonds to buy Bitcoins. How ridiculous that would sound. But that's what Michael Saylor thinks he can convince Buffett and even the late Charlie Munger, that if he could sit down with him for an hour, he would convince them of that. In my opinion, I think Munger would be more likely to spit in his face than hand over $1 to pile on top of him in Bitcoin. The late Charlie Munger was a big critic of Bitcoin and all the clowns in the space. And once again, I think the old wise man will be proven correct eventually. We're also getting news 21 shares and Van Eyck just file for a Solana ETF. And that's the thing with crypto. There's just endless amounts, as it can be digitally created with a click. With kids now creating crypto coins, pumping them to their mates, dumping on them. That's the thing with gold. There's only a certain amount in the ground, whereas with crypto, it just goes on and on. But the crypto bros are winning. Gary Gensler, their #1 public enemy, Crypto Hawk, tried his best to keep it out of the system. Just got news today that he's stepping down as the SEC chair. Just like Janet Yellen and others, they don't want to be around the new president's admin. It's a whole different approach and thought process of running the US government, and crypto is just one of them. And here's Gary on X today, saying he'll be stepping down on the inauguration day. Also interesting to see Elon Musk comment on his post, is it true that the SEC only works 1 day a month in the office? And so no doubt, this probably wasn't the way he envisioned retiring. Also interesting to see today, we've got Ethereum on the move, having a pretty nice move up, over 9% actually. Still well off highs though. It's really been Bitcoin. It's been leading the charge here. And like I said, there's nothing really stopping it from continuing to melt higher, except the whales. Some of those whales, some of them that have been holding for years and years, they wanted to offload in a big way. A lot of this market is leveraged. We could see a very nasty and quick correction, if not potentially crash, which sometimes can happen when assets hit those big psychological levels we've all talked about for so long, with 100,000 being a big one on Bitcoin. So it'll be interesting to see the price action we get once that seems bound to happen at this stage. Now just moving on to Nvidia, and we got their earnings yesterday. Pretty good result. Amazing year-over-year growth. Data center business doubling. Saying that Blackwell demand exceeds supply going out 2026. Jensen Huang even saying the AI gold rush continues in full steam. Beat Wall Street estimates. Did guide in line with what Wall Street was speaking. How it didn't blow away on guidance. But I mean, they're selling as much as they can. I don't think you can get much better than that. And according to Dan Ives, it was a robust jaw-dropper Nvidia earnings that speaks to massive AI demand. And there's a look at the market's reaction. Kind of a strange one. Big spinning doji there today. Just going down to a 5-minute chart. Going back to last night. Initially sold off. The market appeared to buy the dip there. Traded right up into pre-market. Actually giving us day-over-day gains. Market shot right up above 152. All-time high. Then the sellers stepped in straight away. And we kind of just bumped around into close here, giving us that doji pattern. So sometimes you get this price action after earnings. Market can kind of be weird. There's a lot of things at play, big funds, algos, day traders. However, we did break out to a brand new all-time high. So I'd say overall that's bullish, even though it is a red candle. And I wouldn't be surprised if it finds its feet over the next couple of days and it goes for another bit of a run here, given it was a pretty good quarter. And we're continuing to get that bounce back from Super Micro as well, which I guess is a good thing for the entire industry. Because if they were to get delisted, that could spook the whole sector. And there's a look at ASML coming out of the Netherlands. Really important part of the AI chip supply chain. Manufacturer equipment got knocked down really hard after they were hit with export curb controls to China. We are setting up a bit of a bullish divergence here on the charts. Looks to be plenty of institutional buying, and I can see in my fair value indicator, it's a bit undervalued here. Scoring really good on the factors as well. I know a lot of investors are eyeing off this as one of the best priced semiconductor stocks out there, which could indeed turn out to be good value at these levels. So we'll keep an eye on this. I'm also watching renewable energy stocks after getting slammed going into and out of the election, as the market's priced in a pro-fossil fuel administration that's likely to dial back regulatory and tax incentives for the renewable energy sector, bar one, uranium nuclear, which I think could actually help give it more of a tailwind if other renewable energy sectors don't get the same benefits. But I wouldn't rule them out completely, and we could indeed be setting up for a bit of a contrarian play here, not just a swing trade, but potentially a position. There's solar stocks as well, a bit technically stretched here in the short term. Like I said, doing a lot better uranium, nuclear energy. With this sector still on fire, NuScale Power trading up good today. Nano-nuclear energy having another monster day. Same deal with Oklo as well, up 20%. It's incredible the amount of volumes and moves we're getting in these small nuclear stocks. Not doing as well, Cannabis. Also slammed going into and coming out of the election. There were glimmers of hope with Matt Gaetz appointed to be Attorney General. However, he's just withdrawn on the back of some personal controversies. As I showed you guys last week on Polymarket, traders already saw that coming and were pricing it in. And so again, the market is still very uncertain on this sector, and markets hate uncertainty. I'd rather just stay out than take a chance. However, just like renewable energy, I think this is also setting up for a potential contrarian position, because I'm still confident the new admin is going to legalize cannabis at the federal level. It's an easy political win, an easy way to generate revenue, and just looking across all the key members of the new admin, they're all pro-cannabis. Even Trump himself has come out in favor of it. Not to mention Elon Musk being a cannabis user himself as well. So this is another sector we'll be watching closely over the coming weeks and months for potential opportunities in. We'll also be keeping an eye on the jobs market and recession risks if the unemployment rate starts inching towards 5%. However, looking at the latest jobless claims data, new unemployment filings, the lowest since April. So the economy and the jobs market overall, at least with the data we've been fed, is still holding up. And just looking at the way the 10-year yield's been trading, in my opinion, the bond market is pricing in a healthy US economy for the foreseeable future as well. Along with the dollar continuing to motor ahead as well, 107 there. Got another bit of a bounce in crude oil today, near a 2-week high. Got a bit of a tit for tat going with Russia and Ukraine on a new level now. After the outgoing US admin authorized Ukraine to use US missiles to strike within Russia in a clear sign of escalation before they leave the White House. However, like we thought, Putin had to strike back, otherwise he will look weak. They fired a new missile at Ukraine, an intermediate range ballistic missile, which they said is a new type of missile that struck a major Ukrainian defense plant. The missile carried a conventional, non-nuclear warhead, appeared to have greater range and speed than previous weapons Russia has used in the war. So maybe just sending a little bit of a warning and still potential bluff. Let's hope he's bluffing. We don't want to see a nuclear war. But Ukraine and the outgoing admin are playing with fire. Hopefully it doesn't escalate before it can be negotiated away. But of course it's a complex matter with good arguments on both sides, and so that's easier said than done as well. And there's a look at crude, once again appearing to bounce off this key support zone, $70 a barrel. And ever since Biden authorized Ukraine to use those missiles, gold has bounced back as well. And just looking at what other stocks are hot out there today, SoundHound AI, along with some of the other smaller AI stocks, C3 AI continuing its run. And look at that move in Reddit. Some of these small stocks are just ripping here. Peloton as well. And I think probably the hottest sector at the moment, quantum computing, IronQ, QUBT, these little small cap stocks, just monster volumes here. Another one, D-Wave Quantum, up 18% today, along with the EV toll stocks, Archer Aviation and Joby as well. Space stocks continuing to rip. Rocket Lab, my position in Intuitive Machines, still looking pretty good. Then even old school industrial stocks, still riding high. Construction Partners, ticker symbol ROAD, up another 6% today. United States Lime and Minerals, USLM, monster run, going into and coming out of the election, with the market betting on a domestic construction and manufacturing boom. But it's getting back to the top level. Interesting to see the VIX still a little elevated there, 16.8. After we've had the election, we got into a really bullish seasonal period. Market is holding up pretty well. I was expecting this to continue tracking down into that 12 level, which it may indeed do soon. However, option dealers could be still pricing in something else here as well. So we can't rule out any surprise pullbacks in a normally low volatile, seasonally bullish period going into late November, December, and January. Volatility risk premium 3.2, which isn't high, but still we haven't seen that big volatility crush that we normally get with a strong rally. But just looking at market color on my sector trends table is overwhelmingly green across the board. Only places where really red is healthcare, a little bit up the front in growth versus value, but especially international stock markets sold off hard going into and coming out of the election. But American stocks look to be still on firm footing here. We can also see that in my sector breadth table indicator. Big bounce back across the board today, with all sectors having the majority of their stocks above the 5-day moving average. Like I said, the weakest, healthcare and staples. Looking at long-term trends, still the strongest sectors, financials, utilities, and industrial stocks. And we've still got growth sectors in an uptrend versus defensive sectors. But good to see small caps lead the charge today, along with mid caps as well, having a nice bounce back off their 50-day averages on the back of that up and down action coming out of Nvidia. And that's a wrap for the daily market review today, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in following my swing alerts and new trading account each day, and click the link below this video, head on over to clickcapital.io and check it out while I'm having this special offer. I think you'll find it really valuable and you'll learn a whole lot. And I'm excited to start trading this brand new trading account starting next week. That's all for today, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Cheers.